When the world put sanction on Iran and Iran could not sell its oil anywhere in the world, India bought Iran's oil but without any money exchange. India bought Iran's oil in exchange of other goods and services such as milk and milk product and other food grains essential, and there was no money involved. So a business can eventually happen and very well happen even without a valuation if you have value. Hello everyone, I am Rupam, founder and CEO of Aculi Labs Private Limited, creator of Lifers, and author of the book 0 to plus minus equal to a startup book, and also I am the author of Intimacy Lost for Man, The Birth of the Lugal, a book on making your relationships better. I'm also the inventor of PIO, Public Angel Investment Offer for Private Placement, a platform and a process that enables retail angel investors to invest in the frugal and profitable startups even with the 10,000 rupees, Indian rupees. And welcome you all to episode number 31. As promised, today's episode's topic is value. How do startups create value? In yesterday's episode, we have already learned that a startup must not chase valuation. A startup must first create a value system, and that value system will act as the foundation. That foundation, based on that foundation, you can build the value system. So India and Iran's trade relationship goes much before the modern time. India and Iran have been trading since centuries, since much before the modern era of Christ era had begun. So it's a valuable relationship that has enabled both the countries to exchange goods and services for centuries. The world has changed, but this relationship has not changed. So that is the reason this relationship has helped both the countries in their difficult time. Iran has obviously helped India when India needed more energy. India has helped Iran when Iran needed more food and grains and other services. And we already have seen in yesterday's class and yesterday's episode that unless and until you become valuable to the society, you create values, you can be experienced by people emotionally and physically, your valuation is oftentimes a completely inflated and inflated promise. Any currency is essentially a debt promise, debt bond, and as we keep on giving too much of promises due to our habit, the economy collapses. Roman economy has collapsed, and all the past in 1278 BCE, Egyptian and the entire Mesopotamian economy has collapsed, and this is quite normal. And we are also again on the verge of a very severe economic stress, just like 1929 Great Depression. And you can see those trends coming up. A lot of companies are eliminating their employees. FTX, a major crypto exchange, has gone busted, and all these trends point towards economic toughness. And in this economic toughness, you will see many companies who were considered unicorns, the big valuation companies, will collapse. It's just like 2000, year 2000 internet bubble burst. There were many internet companies who just got busted. So you should always first create the value, and that value system is going to help you to build those products which will drive your valuation. However, if you chase valuation, valuation is never going to help you to build the value, because once you get into the valuation game, you will simply be running all the time to increase the valuation. Your focus can never become in the value, because we learned yesterday that value is something which is physical, which is not scalable. India and Iran's trade relationship is not scalable. It's a very strong relationship between the two countries. India and Russia similarly share a lot of trade relationship which is not scalable. What India can do with Russia, India cannot do the same thing with USA, for instance, or India doesn't have the similar relationship with Argentina. So the trade relationship between India and Iran and India and Russia is non-scalable. However, these are very valuable. Even recently, during the Ukrainian war, when there were a sanction, global sanction on Russia, India purchased Russian oil, and Russia's economy is growing more than ever since. And how they do it is because you don't require any dollars, or you don't require any INRs, you don't require any physical currency transaction. It's a simple business deal. You give me oil, I'll give you food and grains. All right. So value is something which can be experienced. Value is something which can be emotionally experienced, which can be physically experienced, and value is something which is non-scalable. But still, value provides you that safety and security based on which you can build the valuation. So, what are the core values? Let me first walk you through the core values that a startup must have. And of course, because a startup is built on the life and on the theories and on the effort of a founder, the founder must personally have this value system. And these values are: number one is time capital, number two is health capital, number three is knowledge capital, number four is character capital, number five is habit capital, number six is social capital, number seven is innovation capital, and number eight is future capital. Let me repeat: time capital, health capital, knowledge capital. Time, health, knowledge, the first three. Then next, character, habit, and social capital. 4, 5, 6. Then innovation capital and future capital. There are many other categories of capital, excuse me, value capital, but these are the primary 8 capitals which are essential for you to have. Now, what is time capital? We all have same 24 hours of time, and yet if you look into Elon Musk's life, he seems to derive so much out of the same time that all of us have. So how you are utilizing the time creates your time capital. For example, in modern time it is said that a human concentration is less than that of a goldfish, that is less than 10 seconds. And many suggest you that you should get your users attention within first 10 seconds, 15 seconds. Many of the platforms such as TikToks are built on this principle that users have such a short attention span. However, the problem is that the short attention span doesn't help you to become productive, right? You need to have a much higher attention span in order to become productive, because our brain cannot do these short things. Because if your attention span is shorter, then you'll be eventually doing the small things, and everybody will try to do these small things. So your competition is going to be too higher. As you go higher at the top level, the concentration level is much more higher. So how you utilize your time, how people perceive that you have your time, will help you to build the time capital. So the principle of the time capital is, number one, how much of time you are investing onto productivity, how much time you are investing in diversion. So your overall time is your personal time plus your productivity time minus your diversion time. Personal time plus productivity time plus diversion time. So if you are with your phone, so you can simply calculate that. Every phone nowadays comes with a simple software that allows you to measure how much of time you are spending with the phone. So screen time, that is called screen time. So just look into your screen time. Let's say you have 24 hours of time in a day, and there is 8 hours of rest you require. All of us we require, so you essentially have 16 hours a day. And out of that 16 hours, if you have 5 hours of screen time, for example, then you have only 11 hours of productive time. However, when you look into the successful people, they are very focused on the time. Mikhail Tal has said, Bruce Lee has said that one who loves his life values the time, because life is made out of time. So what you do with the time is very important. Some people watches television, some people watches cricket, some people watch movies, and some people work. They have so much to achieve in their life, they have so much goal to achieve in their life, they have so much bigger goals, they have set so much of bigger goal that every minute is important in their life. So you'll see that they achieve so much more out of their life than the common people. So your time capital is essentially the inverse of diversion time. And you can simply measure this by amount of screen time. So if your screen time is 5 hours, let's say, and if you can bring it down to 30 minutes, then 4.5 hours is your time capital. That's a significant time in the life, because imagine 4 hours, that's 6 times, that's 15%. If you 15% of your time goes into diversion, then you essentially cannot create any value, because if you do not save the time, you will not save any value. So time capital is an essential capital. So as you reduce the diversion time, of course your attention span is going to increase. The more your attention span increases, the higher order work you'll be able to achieve. The more you able to achieve higher order work, people will perceive that you invest quality time into your work. Of course, that will create a value. Second is health. Of course, there are situations in life which are unavoidable. There are accidents. We meet accidents, we meet health problems, but the life the life doesn't repeat. So even in the worst situation, one can do many things. However, keeping those accidents and unfortunate events aside, what you always want to do is you always want to be healthy. And the health is a component of three different healths. Number one is mental health. What is mental health? How much of self you understand. You understand your car more than you understand yourself. How much of yourself you understand? What is your self understanding? What is your self efficacy? What is your self reliance? How much you rely on yourself? How much you are confident of yourself? Self confidence. Self awareness. How much you are aware of your negativities in life? How much you are aware of your strength? So, self consciousness, self awareness, self efficacy, self resilience, all of this combiningly create your mental health, your thoughts, your plans, everything. So you are just a combination of your perception about yourself. But most of the people, they become, through the perception of the other, they lose their individuality. They become part of the crowd. They become what the other people are. They want to try to play a role based on how the other people want them to be. So such individuals never make successful life. Forget about successful startup. So you have to become very, very self-conscious, self-aware, self-resilient, self-efficacy. You have to increase self-consciousness. All of this is going to give you the top mental health. And your brain controls your body. So without a great mind, you cannot build a great startup, because the entire world is going to be behind you. So you have to have a very strong brain. Mental health, emotional health. Most of the people do the things because they see somebody else to do the things. Most of the people in the society are followers. Very few people can derive emotion out of their work. Very few people are devoted to their work. Very few people can derive all the happiness. They need pleasure, they need drink, they need drugs, they need to hang out for the pleasure activities. There are very few people who derive pleasure out of their work, whose entire energy comes from their work. So that emotional health, how emotionally devoted you are into your health, and how much of the pleasure, happiness and satisfaction you are deriving out of your work, which is going to drive your emotions. Otherwise you can become extremely negative very fast. Then of course the physical health, which is energy. Of course, when you are trying to look for something bigger, when you try to create something bigger and you go over and over again every day, you'll realize that our emotions, our mental health, and the parameters that we set, the goals that we set in our life, they drive our energy. It's almost the similar amount of energy, about 2000 calories, that everybody consumes in a day. And yet you'll see some people more energetic than the other people, because they love their work so much, they are so passionate about the future that they want to perceive, that just makes their body so much of efficient, energy efficient, that the body can keep on churning the energy, and you will not feel those people tired or fatigued, right? So physical energy. Then the pathological health. Of course you cannot have high bp, of course you cannot have high sugar, of course you cannot have pathological problems, and you have to learn about your health, and you have to fix your health. That's very, very important. So because if you are not healthy, and while you are building a big company, that may take 20-30 years, and if your health gives up, then you are never going to build that company, right? Much before that, you are going to remain to be worried about your own health. So you have to get those health problems out, and you have to become really healthy. Next is knowledge capital. Of course, knowledge is the power. Imagine people without education. Education is not the degree. Without knowing, without deep studying, who are just going out there trying to build something, trying to raise fund. Even if they raise fund, they're going to collapse, because it's the knowledge, it's the overall knowledge and continuous knowledge that helps somebody to solve the problems. So amount of knowledge that you create for yourself and for the company, that's going to be a real capital. The books you write, the blogs you write, the articles you write. Y Combinator was purely built on the blogs written by its founder. The founder writes blog for a very long period of time, and the Y Combinator's entire principle was built based on those blogs. So knowledge is an important capital. Then is character capital. You interact with the world with your personality, but there is a character deep inside you. That character is hidden from the world, but that character drives the personalities in the stressor situation. Trust, honor, dignity, integrity, These are the characters. Strong characters means you will not lower your integrity even for $1 billion. You'll not lie even for $1 billion. That's called the strong character. Most people have weak character, which means that they give up on their characters whenever there is a scope of huge amount of money or opportunities. People become opportunists. So once you hold on to your character, it may not give you in immediate benefit, but people see you as a fixed person. People can predict you. People see you as somebody who is reliable, and therefore they want to do business with you. They see you same over and over again over a period of time, decades. You remain the same, you appear the same. Your hair grow gray, but you appear the same person. Strong character. That's called the character capital. People say, yeah, he's an honest person. He's a dignified person. He's a very strong character. He has a leadership character. People perceive you. People don't do business with your company. People do business with you. Your character, not personality, but the character, irrespective of how much personality you present, what personality you present to the world, people realize your character. And it's your character which is the capital for not only you, but also for your company. It's the capital of Ratan Tata that drives Tata company. For example, in latest Docomo deal, Tata and Docomo had a deal that if Docomo wants to exit the business, telecom business, Tata is going to give them certain amount which they had invested at the beginning. And the Tata's management, led by late Mr. Mistry, he said that okay, these are the flaws and we are not entitled to return you the money. But then Ratan Tata came in and he said, nothing doing, we are going to give you more money. And they gave Docomo, the Japanese company, the exit even at a much higher cost, because Ratan, that's the character. Okay, Tata company might lose 2 billion US dollar while giving this exit to Docomo, but the relationship with Japan and relationship with Docomo, relationship with all those great engineers, Mr. Ratan Tata values more than the 2 billion US dollar. Strong character. And people love strong character because most of the society is flooded by people who are weak character. You can test them and they will flaw. You can trigger their greed, you can trigger their hate in no time. So people want those strong characters. Strong characters matters a lot. This is your character capital. So the next is social capital. What is social capital? Social capital is how good you are socially, how you are flawless with 10-year-old, how you are flawless with 20-year-old, 30 years old, 40 years old, 50 years old, how you understand people. Do you understand people? Can you change your behavior according to the social situation? Can you calibrate? Can you remain congruent even under the social pressure? Because ultimately every company serves the society. The companies are not for you. Companies are for the society. We build companies so that it can serve the society. And we serve the human race through our company. So it's a role that we do for the society. So if you don't understand society, we don't understand social dynamics, then you cannot serve society. It's so simple, because if you don't understand something, you cannot serve something, right? All right. So social capital, your understanding of the society, your ability to work with the society, your ability to serve the society, stand by the society, your ability to have societal systems going by you. Because if you are seen as a separate entity, not part of the society, society is not going to use your service. Then whom you are supporting anyways, right? So that's social capital. Character capital, social capital. Next is, of course, innovation capital. What is innovation capital? You constantly have to keep innovating. You constantly have to keep innovating. You have to look into any problem and keep on solving, keep on building the tools. Yes, of course, in the startup ecosystem, many people will tell you don't divert your mind, focus on a thing and just try to scale that. Don't do that. They're just seeing their benefit, but you are just seeing your benefit. Your benefit is building a company that can last for 100 years to 500 years. You want to give something meaningful to the society. You want to give something meaningful. You want to leave behind something meaningful for your next generation. You're not here just to make money, because the money can change. Economy can collapse. Cryptocurrency has collapsed, right? But this is not going to collapse. So innovation, you always build something. You see, Amazon is successful today not because they are a very good company, because they innovated. They failed. They brought Kindle, they brought many other products, handheld mobiles, everything. So they have never shied away from the failure. And Jeff Bezos has recently stated in an interview that Amazon's success's secret sauce is that we have failed so many times. Because if you make 1,000 products, you'll fail with 999 products, but one product is going to be one which is going to be super hit, and that's how you make money. Because you never know, if you build one product, you don't know whether that product has a product market fit or not. It's very hard to figure that out. But if you keep on innovating, you make innovation as your culture, and that's how your company grows. It leverages that innovation culture, problem solving culture. So, future capital. What is future capital? What you are leaving behind for the future. Not money. We are talking about values. Anything which can be physically realized. Anything that stands the time. Those are values. India and Iranian, our ancestors left behind the India-Iran pact. That's what they left for us to leverage upon to. So what is that leverage you are leaving behind for the future? Culture, history, knowledge, something, not the assets. You may leave behind a building, you may leave behind certain processes, but there is something that you have to leave behind for the future, which will stay for years, 100 years, 500 years. India and Iran's trading deal is older than 2000 years. So imagine the wisdom of those ancestors who left behind such an extraordinary deal. There have been so many cultural changes in India and Iran, but even after 2000 years, India and Iran are able to trade, even amidst the economic sanctions, due to that wisdom, due to that valuable relationship that our ancestors had built. So this is what you have to look into, what you are leaving behind for the future. So these are the primary values, and in each episode I'm going to walk you through with different values. In tomorrow's episode I'm going to walk you through how you are going to make time capital, how you can build your time capital. But we left out on one capital, that's habit capital. What is habit capital? Of course, we are slaves of our habits. We do everything because of our habits. Our habit brain, which is basal ganglia, section of the midbrain that stores the habit. We are so unconscious about our habits. We are not aware. So, for example, if you try to, put up a shoelace, if you try to tie a shoelace, you do not know how you are able to do. When you are riding a cycle, you cannot explain people how you are riding a cycle. They become part of the habit. So you practice and convert things into your habit. Attention is a practice, convert it into a habit. Non diverting your mind, practice, built into your habit. Building something extraordinary, practice in your mind. Not chasing valuation, practice becomes a habit. Creating a value, practice, 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 practice becomes a habit. Creating strong characters, practice, 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 practice rejecting people whenever they're giving you an opportunity. Just hold by your character, practice, 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 practice becomes a habit. So eventually, all of the capitals specified gets down to the habit. That's all for today's episode. Thank you so much for investing your time, energy, emotion, and concentration onto these episodes and making these episodes really successful. Please get your copy, get your book. That's a digital book, of course, 0 to plus minus equal to if you're a first time founder. That's going to help you to build your fundamentals around the business and the startup. Thank you again. See you tomorrow with a new episode number 32 on time. Good night.